Another developer blog that came out this week with its own trailer was the MyTEAM trailer and developer blog talking about the card collecting mode. Um, I will touch on a little bit on this because I know it's not really your thing, Ben. But I don't know. Maybe you'll think about giving it a look this year with some of the the things they've added. You can always give it a look. I want to touch on the trailer really quickly though. The trailer showed off basically a quick summary of what's in the blog and some of the new features, the new card designs. It was a pretty cringy trailer though. The vocal effects on the voiceover, the audio effects, I should say, were strange. I think they're trying to going for a certain effect, and it just sounded really bad. The "it's lit" saying and the stamp coming up. Again, maybe I'm just a jaded 32-year-old. Maybe if I was younger, but I'm seeing younger people also saying that's a bit cringy as well. So, I mean, I don't want to rant too long about the trailer or anything, Ben. But I saw that. It's just trying to be.
To yeah,
There was
it's like
I mean, am I showing my age by using the word "try hard"? Is that still what the kids are saying these days? There's some. It just felt very. As I say, cringy to me, really.
yeah, it's like that. What was that Drew Barrymore movie where she's goes back to high school and she's like mid 40 or whatever she was. Trying to, I think she's like some reporter for like.
Was it Never Been
news-
Kissed or something?
Yeah, I think it's that one. That's kind of what that makes me think. And like, yeah, that sort of cringy element to it. That sort of.
Trying to be cool when 2K18 is already doing cool things. It sells itself as a brand. It's
Yeah.
we know its quality as a brand and a game. It's lit. It sounded. Very uncomfortable, that trailer. But
Yeah,
that
I will admit, like, because I sent you and Kenny that link into it. I mean, when I watched the video, I kind of tuned out of the audio, so I didn't really pay attention to too much of what was said because of like hearing the word "lit" that many times. I was like the first time I heard it, I was like, "Oh, it's going to be that, isn't it?" And then when I heard it again, I was like, "No, I'm not paying attention." So I just more watched the video than listen to it. So I don't really know too much of what I missed out on it.
well, it reminds me of when I had to get my iPod replaced a couple of years back, and I went to the Apple store, and there was somebody in their must have been in their 50s working there, and he's just going, "Cool, man," and everything was like, "Oh, this is you're not pulling it off." And it's one of the reasons, which I won't get into the whole my whole gripes with the Apple brand, but it's one of the reasons I don't really like Apple culture. But it felt very much like that. But having said all that, cringy trailer aside, a lot of the things they were talking about in the trailer and the blog itself, very good news as far as my team is concerned. I'll start out with something that's not that's fairly inconsequential. Have you seen the screenshots of the new cards?
I remember seeing them briefly in the video. I think maybe I saw like a screen capture from it.
They've redesigned the cards again this year. They tend to do that every year, which makes sense. You freshen up the design, give people something new. Some people are a fan, some people are not. I actually really like the design. They remind me a lot of cards that I collected in the 90s. They're very similar to some of those 90s basketball card designs. So
Oh, yeah, like the upper decks and all that stuff.
I think Upper Deck is the brand that it reminds me of. Yeah, so I do like that. I do like that design. It's one of the things that's really drawn me to the card collecting modes is that nostalgia for collecting basketball cards, and of course actually being able to do something with them in the game as well. So I do like those designs for whatever it's worth. That's cosmetic, neither here nor there for a lot of people, and the quality of the gameplay and the modes, of course. But it's a nice touch. But speaking of the modes, there's a new mode called Pack and Playoffs, which is essentially a draft mode in which you open packs and get a new lineup each round. Luck of the draw, so sometimes you get superstars, sometimes you'll get the underdog lineup of role players. Don't know what a roll-up player is. That's me recording on a Sunday night, people. Then you've got the playoffs, which consist of 4 rounds, each being the best of 7, just like the real playoffs. And you can use VC to hold on to players for the next round. Otherwise, you get a whole new lineup based, again, luck of the draw with the packs. So that's an interesting mode for to change things up.
Yeah. Sorry, I was actually looking at the cards, and yeah, you're right. There is it is more new era, not new era, upper deckish
Yeah,
in terms of design. So yeah, sort of around the early mid '90s.
yeah,
Sort of.
that's what I thought. Yeah,
Yeah.
but with pack and playoffs, a lot of people have been asking for a draft mode, so that's good news there. They've found a way to implement that. Something I'll check out probably. Uh, Coaches are going to play a bigger role in my team. There's a new system proficiency tech, and that's also going to be used in other modes. So this is kind of important, I suppose, and it determines which of 8 systems a team will run based on the coach logic, and that's going to have an impact on my team's performance, and of course the squad performance in other modes as well. And the idea is basically to match suitable players to the coach's system. And we also heard about this in the my league and my GM blog as well. The coach having that more of an impact with the system and being able and having to get players that fit the system. So apparently it's going to be throughout the modes, including my team, and that makes sense. So it's not just going to be a case of getting the best cards necessarily, but play and just getting a bunch of high-rated cards and putting them together and taking advantage of the ratings. But with the coaching system is also going to have an impact. So that's a new wrinkle to add, and also it's great to see it across the other modes as well.
Yeah, agreed.
The other new online mode is Super Max, and it is basically the salary cap and season mode for my team. And at the start of each round, users will need to build the best team possible under the set salary cap and then compete in full-length games. So that's a pretty cool concept, that you actually are challenged, again, to not just throw the best players together, but to have to put them together under the restrictions.
Yeah. I think that sort of, definitely ties it in line with more like a regular NBA team in terms of trying to keep it under the cap
and put together different lineups and try to utilize your cards as best as possible within certain restrictions. Otherwise, it does just become a case where, I wonder if that will actually balance out people who spend a lot of money on microtransactions. Because then you'll get because that's an online mode. So if you're spending a lot, you can't necessarily just put all your best players on there with a salary cap. So you're going to have to be pretty good at using lesser players as well.
Yeah. Although, do you think Together really want to put restrictions on people spending money on VC? So
I don't think it's going to stop that. I think it's just going to maybe balance it out a little bit, perhaps. In the best case scenario, anyway.
Fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed. There's also new strategy cards. Of course, you've had the other cards before. You get the shoe boosts and everything like that. But strategy cards can be played during timeouts to add temporary boosts to your points of emphasis. And coaches themselves, the cards have different gem level cards this year. So basically putting more wrinkles, more variables throughout the system. For offline gamers, Ben, we've got schedule challenges that lets you play through a 30-game schedule for all 30 NBA teams. And they're all going to be available on day one.
Okay.
So no need to unlock those. And we're going to get into this before. We haven't mentioned already on the podcast, but it's the news that broke last week about the all-time teams. But the new all-time teams, which we'll be talking about in more depth shortly, they're going to have a presence in my team by the way of all-time domination. In previous years, it was the historic domination. This year, it's going to be all-time domination, where you're taking on those all-time teams for all the NBA franchises. So that's going to be you'll certainly want your best plays for that one, I think. Your best lineups for that. Auction house has been enhanced with real-time postings, reserve bidding, and the ability to sell stacks of items. So that's nice for the auctions. My Team goals have been added, rewarding gamers for exploring the mode. They had something similar in Ultimate Team in Live 16, so that's a good idea. Collections menus have been made easier to browse. Other enhancements include more dynamic duos, reference to find a player's dynamic duo partner, badge replacement for the assigning the badges with the cards, bigger boost for shoes, and an updated interface. So a lot of work has gone into my team, which is it is a big mode in the game. Obviously, I think the most popular modes still are My Career and My Park, actually. 2K Pro-Am's up there as well, especially with the E-League. But obviously, it's a big money maker with the microtransactions, and it's very popular. I know Kenny's played through it extensively in 2K17, and I've played a bit of it as well. So, yeah, it's just some good news all around there as well.
You'll see some interesting new improvements or features and modes into it. So I suppose, they want to keep fresh and not let it just become stale
Yeah.
in terms of things. So
Absolutely. What else can you say? But it's lit. So, but all snark aside, it does sound like they put a lot of great attention has been put into it, from aesthetics of redesigning the cards and having that kind of a throwback 90s look there to the cards, to actually adding some much desired modes with the salary cap and the draft modes and other improvements throughout. So my team, yeah, I guess my team is lit this year. It's certainly very appealing, and I reckon I'll give it another look.